Hi everyone, my name is Lua Onoranti and thanks for coming back again. I have an exciting video for you today. Have you ever wondered how interior designers can transform a space without ever stepping foot inside? Well, that's what I do here at Inspired Ori Home Decor with my virtual design services. No matter where you are, whether you're in the States or just prefer a remote process, I can help you create a beautiful home entirely online. In this video, I'll be walking you through how I design virtual spaces for my clients entirely online. Let's get into it. So yes, let's dive right into it. The first step in our virtual design process is to schedule a discovery call. You can do that on my website at Inspired Ori Home Decor, and it takes about 15 minutes to call it entirely. So what we'll do for that 15 minutes is when the client schedules their call through my website and we get to speak, I get to understand what my client needs. I get to know their name, get a little bit into more details about who they are, and also the project that they're looking for. Through this time, I'm also asking questions that will help me figure out if they are the right fit. Like, for example, where do they live? Like, if they live outside the United States. Right now, I do not design virtually for clients outside the United States, so that person would not be a good fit for me. But basically, any other questions I ask that qualify, and also finding out about what kind of project that they're looking for, whether they're looking for room to room or maybe an entire home virtual design project, then that will help me decide if they're a good fit for my virtual design services. And basically, this is what the discovery call is about. We're discovering each other. They're asking me questions about what I do and if I can help them. And I'm also asking them questions to see how we're a good fit. So this is what the virtual discovery process is. The next step in this process is to schedule a design consultation, which can also be done on my website. A design consultation basically allows me to actually not just talk to the client on the phone like I do during the discovery phase, but I'll actually be able to see them, they'll be able to see me, and we can do this through the online platform that we use, either through Zoom or through Google Meet. And this will be about 60-minute session. During this session, again, based on the information that I found out from the previous phase, the client at this time would have given me inspiration pictures, because if I can't see your space, then there's no way I can recommend any design recommendations for you, right? So first of all, I would have seen the inspiration pictures, like what inspires you to want to create that space. What are the needs that you're looking for, right? Maybe your child is going to college and you need to use that room for something else. And then I also need to see the pictures beforehand prior to the design consultation. So these are the things that I'll have you fill out in my form when you're trying to schedule the design consultation, and so that you can submit this to me ahead of time. So again, during the design consultation, we're talking about all these things. I'm giving you key recommendations on each part of the room or whatever project it is that you submitted to me online. And during this time too, I'll ask you to send me measurements of the space so that whatever I'm recommending for you, again, this time you're just taking notes. This is a virtual design process. There's nothing I can do in person for you in that space, right? So I'm giving you key recommendations of what you could do, design ideas, and you're taking notes during this entire process. I also want to make a comment that during this design consultation, after the client has heard all my recommendations, they can decide to do two things. They can decide to say, oh, wow, thank you so much for all these recommendations. I can definitely go ahead and implement them on my own or use my own contractor and things like that. Or they can say, you know what, I need a little bit more hand holding. I need your help. Let's go ahead and I want to work with you. So we'll talk about what the next phase is for that. The next step after the design consultation is the design phase. Now we're going into designing and really visualizing from my clients the recommendations that I'm making for them. So by this time, the client has agreed to work with me. They've paid part of my design fee for me to be able to start the project with them, right? So now I'm going back on my own. I'm doing some research, making some keynotes and recommendations based on the space that they've sent to me and what are the key ideas that I would like them to implement, right? Again, you also have to remember when you're working with an interior designer, yeah, you can go ahead and do it yourself, but when you're working with an interior designer, you're working with an expert, you want a trained eye, and you also want specific design details, right, that are probably most likely out of this world, right? Because we think differently, we think creatively. So whatever design recommendations we're making for you are probably things that maybe you may or may not have seen before, but you may not have thought about for your space, right? So that's what we're doing in this design phase. We're creating a 3D rendering that helps you visualize exactly what we're recommending. In this design phase also, we will show you what the mood board is. Again, if you've been following me along, I always start my project with a mood board, and this helps us from you submitting the inspiration pictures to us, to now us putting it on a mood board with the recommendations that we're going to be making for you, with all the decor pieces, the furniture, the materials, and everything. Now from that mood board, we bring it into the 3D rendering to help you see exactly what it will look like in your space, also based on the measurements that you would have sent beforehand. So if on the mood board we talked about recommending Roman shades, for example, maybe specific ones, right? And we talked about placing the bed or the sofa on this side, and the material down to the color. We'll show that to you in the 3D rendering. Now, bear in mind, sometimes not all rooms need a 3D rendering. Some rooms are just fine with just a mood board. Like maybe, for example, if you want a guest room, or if you have a small guest room and you're just trying to figure out what to do with it, then our best recommendation for you will probably just be a mood board. But if you really want to go into details, then the 3D rendering is probably better for you. Or maybe after the mood board you still are not seeing what we're recommending, then the 3D rendering will be useful for you. That's what we do in this design phase. Again, like I said, not every room needs a 3D rendering. So after creating the rendering, also before I get back to my client in this phase, I'll also create a shopping list. Again, this is a virtual design process, right? So entirely online. I'm not near where my client lives, right? And so the shopping list will have details, will have the furniture, the decor, everything that I'm recommending, so that at the end of this phase, whatever my client decides to do, they'll have the shopping list to go ahead and either decide to shop for themselves, or again, going into the next phase, they can say, hey, you know what? I really don't have time. I'm busy. I would like you to help me handle this entire process, right? So that then again, we'll move forward to what the next phase is. So to wrap up this design phase, after I've created the rendering and the shopping list, I'm putting all of this in a detailed presentation, which I will showcase to my client. So I just wanted to add a disclaimer real quick. No matter what AI can do, right? No matter how you can tell it, oh, create this space for me that has this and has that, it will never take the place of a human being. It will never take the place of a hardworking human being, of someone who truly comes to know you, and gets intimate with you to understand what your family needs are, in order to be able to design a space for you, to be able to have an actual relationship with someone, right? It will never take that, take anyone's place. So I just wanted to say, you just have to ask yourself what exactly it is that you're looking for, right? If you want to go ahead and just plug in everything, information that you want, and tell AI to give you that space, fine, it will give you that space, right? But then shopping for that is also different. It also has to take into account your budget needs and all of that. It also has to take into your account your family needs, how you use the space. Maybe you have kids, how each of your kids use their space. Again, I just can't stress enough, it cannot take the place of a human being. It is great and it is helpful for certain tasks, but it will not take the place, especially when it comes to design. And I'm pretty sure into other industries as well, it would not take the place of a human being. So I just wanted to add this disclaimer. Here, I've gone ahead to schedule a presentation time with my client, and this is going to be the time that I showcase online the recommendations and the ideas I have for them. Basically, I'm giving them everything, but I'm also actually presenting it to my client, saying, this is what I recommend for your space. This is where we started from. This is the vision that we're going with. And then again, remember, we're also adding the shopping list. So my client has a chance at this point to say, oh, wow, thank you so much. This totally makes sense. I can go ahead and take what you've given me at this point, and they can go and implement it themselves, right? They already have the shopping list, so they can go ahead and shop for themselves. Or at this phase also, because it's the approval phase, they can also say, you know what, I'd like to change something that you have on that board, maybe one or two things, but it shouldn't be more than that, right? Because hopefully by the time we've gone through the discovery phase, we've gone through the design consultation, we have both understood each other, right? I have listened well to my client, asked any questions to clarify, so that whatever design recommendations that I'm making, I am sure that it will fit what my client wants. And again, we're human beings, right? We're not perfect, and we should not expect perfection from each other. But as a professional, I try to do my due diligence during those phases to make sure that by the time I'm here trying to get an approval from my client, right, that I'm recommending exactly what I believe that they want, and also exceeding their expectation as a designer as well. So in this phase, they have the chance to approve the project, take it and walk away with it and implement it themselves. They also have a chance to ask for revisions, and we try to keep it at one revision. And the reason we do that is we do not want the project to get stuck at this phase, right? We want it to move forward. We would like our clients to be happy, and we want to see them actually go ahead and take the recommendations and go ahead and implement it. So if we had multiple revisions, then we would be going back and forth, and it just gets the whole project stuck. And it also can make our clients happy, right? And make us dissatisfied as well. So we do not want that. So that is what the approval phase is for. Presenting to the client, getting approval to say, yes, go ahead, I'm done, or to say, no, I need to revise this thing before we move ahead. In this implementation phase, which is also the closeout phase for a virtual process, right? And the virtual design process, working with a designer, we're finding out again from the approval if a client gives us the go ahead, and then we'll just send the packet right to them and we'll close out the project. But they can also decide at this implementation phase, they can decide, hey, you know what? I would like you to shop for me, especially if you are remote, locally with the client, right? With the designer, if I'm remote, living close to the client, and they say, you know what, I would like you to shop for me. I can shop virtually online for my clients as well. Again, also as a designer, I have trade discounts that I can decide to use for my clients to help them even save more, right? But still shopping quality items for my clients, right? And so at this phase, I can also decide to do that. If my client is someone who's really busy and just doesn't have the time, they can go ahead and let me shop for them, or they can just take what I've given them and go ahead and shop for themselves and implement it using their own contractor or trades or professionals or whoever they have working for them. But again, this is what the virtual design process is. It's a process that is just streamlined and helps us to be able to work with you virtually, online, anywhere, no matter where you are. Once the project is done, I will also ask my clients to send me pictures once they've implemented the virtual design process, so we can see how they put in our design recommendations into their space. And it's just a great way just gives you that satisfaction. Again, just helps us also as a business to be able to tell other clients that this is the kind of work that we've done, right? It builds our portfolio. It's a great way to help our clients virtually. After the presentation, I'll also give about 2 weeks for my clients to still be able to reach out to me to ask me any questions, which we'll be communicating through email, right? In this process also, and through this entire virtual process, especially when we submit the presentation to the client, it's important that you shop reasonably in a specified time, right? Let's say I give you, the presentation today. It's important that in a timely manner, you go ahead and shop for those items, right? Because the last thing you want is something going out of stock, and then you have to reach back out to designer to get a revision, right? Especially depending on when you decide to shop. Like if you decide to shop a month after we've delivered the presentation to you, most likely, depending on where you're shopping, right, online, the product may be unavailable, right? And that's not our fault. We've done our part as a designer, but that's why it's also very important that we'll tell you in that process that, hey, I'm giving this to you now, but please make sure you shop in a timely manner so that you avoid items going out of stock. And so now what I would like to do is to show you an example of what a 3D rendering looks like and how we actually went ahead to implement it in one of my clients' space to bring their vision to life. Here is the initial design board we created for the client. As I mentioned to you before, this is the starting point as we develop the inspiration for our client space based on the discussion that we have had with them. And you see all the unique furniture pieces and all the decor here, helping you to visualize what the space would look like. And here is the final design concept that was created for the client after the initial revision that is included with the project. And part of the e-design or virtual design process is the renderings, which helps the client visualize the space exactly from design concept, sort of bringing it to reality to know what the final space would look like. And you can see from this renderings, it's exactly the pieces that we used from the design concept, although not all design softwares can do that, but we try to be as close as possible. And these are the final and the actual pictures of the space. You can see that they're really close to what the rendering looked like. This is how we as designers help our clients to execute the vision that we have for their space and to help them bring their dreams to life. And that's how I design beautiful spaces for my clients completely online, whether you're looking for a full virtual design plan or you're just looking for some guidance. Virtual design makes it easy to be able to work with a client anywhere, no matter where they are. If you are ready to transform your space, I'd love to work with you. You can visit my website at Inspired Aura Home Decor, and I'll leave that in the description below as well. And before you go, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more interior design tips like this. Also, make sure that you save this to your home decor playlist so that you can come back to it at any time. Also, let me know in the comments below, would you ever try virtual design services? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! And that's how I design elevating and beautiful spaces for my clients completely online, whether you're looking for